Greg Glassman, the founder of CrossFit, is stepping down as the CEO of the company. This is because Glassman recently shared racially tone-deaf comments in an email to a CrossFit affiliate, in a Zoom conference call with multiple affiliates, and in a Twitter post. As a result, Reebok and several other CrossFit athletes are cutting their affiliation with CrossFit, which will cost the company a substantial amount of money. In this episode of Total Body Training, we're asking the question, what did Greg Glassman say? Was it racist? Spoiler alert, his comments were definitely racist, but I'm gonna explain why. And how is the CrossFit community treating this? And finally, my thoughts about the issue. Welcome back to Total Body Training. I'm John Carlos, and if you haven't already subscribed to my YouTube channel, please click the subscription button. On this channel, we go over fitness tips, trends, and tutorials to help you stay informed and get in shape. On with the video. Greg Glassman and the culture of CrossFit are known for taking a strong stance when it comes to health issues in America, but also others have a little bit more of a political nature to them. There are several examples of more politically oriented arguments that they'll make on their website or on their pages. But one that really stands out to me was when in 2016, Dave Castro, who is Greg Glassman's right-hand man and the overseer of the CrossFit Games, decided to give CrossFit Games athletes who won the games guns, so weapons, for winning the games. And if you'd like more about that topic, I have a link down in the description section of this video that will tell you more about it. Given the fact that Greg Glassman uses the platform of CrossFit to speak out so often about different political issues, many CrossFitters are waiting to see what he'd say about the recent Black Lives Matter protests, which are speaking out against police brutality and the unlawful murdering of Black and brown people in America. And what did we get from the ever vocal, aging college bro that is Greg Glassman? You get it, right? Because he's getting older and he wears a backwards hat and shorts, and if you don't get it, you're probably one of them, that's why. What did Glassman say? Crickets. He didn't say anything, and nothing was posted on CrossFit HQ's page, which is controlled by Greg Glassman, so their Instagram page was silent, their website, everything, had nothing to say about what's going on with the protests. That is until Greg tweeted something very racially tone deaf, and we're gonna get to that in a minute, but I wanna provide you with some context, so I'm gonna go back and share another event that occurred prior to this so that you can understand where I'm coming from. For context, I want to talk about an email exchange that occurred between Greg Glassman at CrossFit HQ and Alyssa Royce, who is the owner of Rocket CrossFit. Alyssa sent CrossFit HQ an email explaining why she would be ending her relationship and disaffiliating herself from the CrossFit brand. In this email, she voiced a number of concerns that she had with CrossFit HQ, but for the purpose of this video, we're gonna talk about the section in her email where she talks a little bit about race and the lack of support that Greg Glassman and CrossFit are giving to the Black Lives Matter movement. In this email, she explains that she's frustrated with CrossFit not taking a stance or being political about not taking a stance against police brutality and on Black Lives Matter. And I'm gonna quote her here. At a time like this, anyone's silence speaks volumes, and it does so loudly. To not speak up against the injustice in support of the pleas from the Black people in our country is to say that you don't care. Now, the email is very long and she goes into a lot more depth about that issue. You can read the email down in a link that I'm providing to Rocket Fitness's page down at the bottom of this video. I'm going to share with you how Glassman at CrossFit responded to this. Alyssa, I sincerely believe the quarantine has adversely impacted your mental health. I won't speak for Jeff Kane, but I can tell you that you are delusional in thinking that anyone for a second thought you were the conscious of CrossFit. The very notion is cringeworthy. You think you are more virtuous than we are. It's disgusting. Your self-proclaimed wizardry has been tolerated but never seen as actually thoughtful or effective, but certainly manipulative. You're doing your best to brand us as racist. You know it's bullshit. That makes you a really shitty person. Do you understand that? You let your politics warp you to the point of being evil. I am ashamed of you, Greg. Whoa, there is a lot to unpack there. But let me start with this. Greg, you need more black friends. Like, wow, this is pretty bad how he responded to this. I mean, I'm just kidding, obviously, but I think we can all agree that his response to it could have been a lot more professional. And the thing is he didn't even have to agree with what she was saying. He could have just answered it in a professional manner, or asked her to clarify more or asked to call her. There are any number of ways that he could have responded to this that would have been better than him reacting in that fashion. It just was completely unprofessional. He could have given her a politician's response where he skirted around the issue, never really taking responsibility for anything, kind of like two politicians that I know of right now. Greg Glassman responded to this in the worst way possible. And what I'm seeing as a person of color is something we call white fragility. White fragility is discomfort and defensiveness on the part of a white person when confronted by information about racial inequality and justice. This term was coined by DeAngelo. As a person of color, I've seen this and experienced this at various times in my life, and that's definitely what it looks like here. For more on this topic, I posted a link to a book called White Fragility, and it's by DeAngelo, so you can take a look at that. Okay, let's move on to the next part of the story, which involves Greg's racially insensitive tweets that he left on the Institute of Health and Metrics Evaluation Twitter page. CrossFit HQ, aka Greg, has been posting a lot of information when it comes to Mr. C. Mr. C is a word that I use on this channel for when I'm talking about. And the reason I do that is because I might face demonetization if I talk about this topic too often on here, so I'm just trying to be careful. So that's what you're gonna hear me call it, is Mr. C. Anyways, Greg has been posting information about Mr. C, saying that it really doesn't affect that many people, that it's not that big of a deal, that it's no worse than the flu. He's essentially been criticizing health organizations and saying that their metrics are all wrong with regards to Mr. C. Essentially, he believes that most of the scientific community is treating Mr. C incorrectly. He thinks that it's no big deal. He has criticized the scientific models that various science resources have put out with regards to the possible statistical deaths that could occur because of Mr. C. Recently, the Institute of Health Metrics and Evaluation posted something with regards to Black Lives Matter. Here's the tweet. Racism and discrimination are critical health issues that demand an urgent response. Hashtag Black Lives Matter. Racism is a public health issue. Then they provide a link to a website that talks a little bit more about the metrics that they're going to be following with regards to race and discrimination and also COVID. And the website says, "We will do more to illuminate the public health impact of systemic racism. We will undertake research to address racial disparities in a range of areas, including life expectancy, child mortality, education, and economic opportunity. We will expand our work on COVID-19 to specifically examine the differential impacts of the disease by race, and we will make every effort to bring attention to police brutality." And then Greg Glassman tweeted the following. "It's Floyd 19. What does that mean? No, like seriously, what was he getting at? It's a little bit confusing when you first read it. He went on to criticize the Institute for its failed Mr. C models, and then also criticize them for modeling racism. Greg doesn't think that Mr. C is all that big of a deal. And interestingly enough, Black and brown people are disproportionately affected by Mr. C. The CDC has an article on their website entitled Mr. C in a Racial and Ethnic Minority Groups. The article looks at the existing data about Black and brown people with regards to Mr. C and says the following. The data suggests an overrepresentation of Blacks among hospitalized patients, among Mr. C deaths for which race and ethnicity data are available. And then it has a PDF link that you can look at on there. Data suggests an overrepresentation of Blacks among hospitalized patients, among hospitalized patients. The data suggests an overrepresentation of Blacks among hospitalized patients, among Mr. C deaths for which race and ethnicity data are available, and then it provides you with a link, and it also talks a little bit more about statistically speaking why they are at a higher risk, and they give some statistics with that, but they also give maybe some sociological reasons for this, and it goes on to say that the article proposes a number of lifestyle factors that include living conditions, work circumstances, underlying health conditions, and a lack of access to proper health care. So Greg Glassman doesn't believe that COVID is really that big of a deal. And if he doesn't believe that, then he probably doesn't believe that it disproportionately affects Black and brown people. So what does he mean when he says Floyd 19? I'm coming around to that, just you wait. Later that day, Greg was on a Zoom conference call with 10 CrossFit affiliates and company executives. On this conference call, a CrossFit gym owner from Minneapolis, Minnesota, was explaining their gym community was mourning the loss of George Floyd. Floyd was murdered in Minneapolis. She asked Greg why CrossFit hadn't made a statement with regards to what occurred. And here's what Greg had to say. "We're not mourning for George Floyd. I don't think we or any of my staff members are." Glassman said, "Can you tell me why I should mourn for him?" A CNN article that is referencing a Medium article also said this. Glassman said he thought Floyd's death had nothing to do with race, and that he believed Floyd's death was part of a conspiracy to cover up money laundering. No evidence of such a conspiracy has been reported. Glassman isn't empathetic to the murder of a black person, nor is he interested in discussing systemic racism. Let's put this all together. Greg Glassman doesn't believe that the coronavirus is any worse than the flu. It stands to reason that Greg Glassman also wouldn't believe that the coronavirus disproportionately affects people of color. He also doesn't believe that the murder of George Floyd had anything to do with race. Even though there are countless other examples of people who have been murdered by police in brutal ways that didn't deserve it. For example, Tamir Rice, Sandra Bland, Eric Garner, just to name a few. So what did he mean when he said Floyd 19? He's essentially saying that black lives don't matter. The illnesses that disproportionately affect black population don't matter. The racial discrimination that black people face in this country doesn't matter to him. Black people's lives don't matter to Greg Glassman. Greg didn't put it all together like that specifically, but when you look at everything that Greg Glassman does and he says, it's pretty obvious. So I think a quote like Floyd 19 is very telling of his world view. How is the CrossFit community treating this? Reebok is ending their brand deal with CrossFit. Athletes such as Noah Olson, Chandler Smith, and Christy Aramo are saying that they are not going to compete in this year's CrossFit Games. It's worth noting that Chandler Smith is one of the few well-known black CrossFit athletes. And the moment that started to happen, several other CrossFit affiliates and other people, such as Briggs or Rich Froning, Matthew Frazier, have all decided to disaffiliate themselves from CrossFit, and this is going to cost the brand millions of dollars. And it's really adverse. It's going to adversely affect their revenue sales for the next few years. So, all of these CrossFitters and Reebok doing this and distancing themselves was in an effort to try to make CrossFit say something, take responsibility for what Greg Glassman had said. And here is what happened. On CrossFit's Twitter page, CrossFit HQ, which is Greg Glassman, he said the following: "I, CrossFit HQ, and the CrossFit community will not stand for racism. I made a mistake by the words I chose yesterday. My heart is deeply saddened by the pain it has caused. It was a mistake, not a racist mistake. Not racist, but a mistake." Okay. Earlier I said something about making a politician's apology, and that isn't a very good apology. It's kind of like a sorry, I'm not sorry, where you're not acknowledging what you said might have been wrong, and it's because Greg doesn't believe that. And what happened is that several other CrossFit affiliates and even bigger people such as Rich Froning decided to unaffiliate themselves from CrossFit because they didn't think what he was saying was acceptable. And because of that, it finally pushed Glassman to actually leave CrossFit. So he resigned, and there is a post on Instagram that says the following from Glassman: "I'm stepping down as a CEO of CrossFit Inc. and I have decided to retire. On Saturday, I created a rift in the CrossFit community and unintentionally hurt many of its members. Since I founded CrossFit 20 years ago, it has become one of the world's largest networks of gyms. All are aligned in offering an elegant solution to the vexing problems of chronic disease. Creating CrossFit and supporting its affiliates and legions of professional trainers has been a labor of love. Those who know me know that my sole issue is is the chronic disease epidemic. I know that CrossFit is the solution to this epidemic, and that CrossFit HQ and its staff serve as the stewards of CrossFit affiliates worldwide. I cannot let my behavior stand in the way of HQ's or affiliates' mission. They are too important to jeopardize. Greg Glassman. Okay, I'm glad he stepped down. I think that was a good move. It's still not really an apology acknowledging what you did. It's more so saying, hey, people dropped out and this affects our mission. So we're not really getting a very good apology from Greg Glassman. It's more for posterity purposes because it's the right thing to do from a PR perspective. I appreciate him stepping down. I think actions are more important than just words, so I appreciate that. You know, I mean, is that it? If you are in the CrossFit world, right, just know that not all of CrossFit affiliates or all CrossFit affiliated gyms have the same sentiment. So if you are a person of color like myself, I don't actually do CrossFit at all. But what I would say is if you're going to a box is to reach out to your owner and ask how they feel about this situation and see if you still want to be a part of that community. If I was going to a box and my owner said that they didn't care about it, I would take issue with it. I don't want to support brands that don't have me in mind. Now, you know, as an owner, I own Total Body Training. I am a person of color. I represent my brand. You see my image in photos. If you look on our Instagram page, you'll see that we have lots of people of color in our photos because we have a diverse population. And that's really the case when you come in. From everything from the people who come in to work out, the person who represents the company, my girlfriend who's in lots of her photos is Mexican. You see her, she's a person of color. We're a very diverse gym. More diverse, I would argue, than a lot of places in town because here in San Antonio, I've been to them. A lot of places really lack that mixture of different kinds of people. When everything happened with George Floyd, I didn't feel the need personally to post a lot of political things on my page. I try to remain somewhat apolitical on that page because I don't want to affect a lot of people's experience that are attending my studio, nor do I want to hurt my ability to get other people to come into my gym. Instead, the way that I represent myself as a person of color is through the imagery that we use and through the branding and through the acceptance of different kinds of people in our gym. And that's very obvious if you come into my gym. Now, on my personal page, I do talk about being a person of color. I'm Afro-Latino, I'm Puerto Rican, I'm Black, I have these things, and I do a series called Being Brown, where I talk about these issues on there. So I think I speak about it regularly enough and don't have to necessarily post something or take a stance the way that some of these other companies have. Now, I also don't think that you necessarily absolutely have to get up and say something if you don't feel like it. So if you're a local business like myself and you're small and you're concerned about what people might say, I don't think you necessarily have to, but you also have to know that people are watching. If you make a statement, you know, that can hurt you. If you speak out politically, if you don't make a statement, that can hurt you. You know, I empathize with people not knowing what to do, but I want to say it right here. If it's not clear, Black Lives Matter to me because I am one of those people. What happened to George Floyd could have happened to me. I have been in situations that weren't that bad, but could have been gone really bad if I didn't say talk the way that I talk or have, you know, my lighter skin. There's all sorts of reasons why that hasn't happened to me. Okay, so what do I think about this? I'm a person of color, I own a gym, and in my media, on my page, what I like to do is show the diversity of people that I have in my population, because I actually have them. CrossFit, on the other hand, doesn't show that, nor am I sure that they actually have that in their facilities. I'm sure that there are plenty of people from all over the world that do it, but we're just not seeing that. When you go on CrossFit's Instagram, just Google the word CrossFit. What you see is a lot of white people in their imagery, and I'm sure that people experience that, people of color like myself, when they attend a CrossFit Box or a gym. And while I'm all for unity and people coming together, I think that acknowledging that there needs to be diversity in the leadership at CrossFit is something that CrossFit is going to need to do from here on out. And trying to promote athletes of color in their gyms and trying to offer services that are geared towards people of color will really benefit them and help make their community more diverse. I think CrossFit is an awesome training program. I just don't like what they did. And it doesn't really come to me as a shock that they would do that given the lack of diversity. I'm sorry, but if you don't have a lot of diversity in your staff and the people who attend your facilities, then chances are there is going to be some kind of underlining discrimination or racism that is at the root of that. There's going to be some kind of otherness that people of color experience, like myself, when they go to your gym. It's the reason why I don't attend certain yoga studios in this town. It's the reason why I don't attend certain fitness studios in this town. It's a feeling of otherness that we experience as people of color when we attend these places. All right, people, I could talk about this for a really long time. I might make a separate video about this, but for now, I'm gonna let you go. If you enjoyed this video, please click the subscribe button and click the thumbs up button, and I will see you all next time. Peace. Working out from home can be boring. Whether it's the fact that you don't have proper weightlifting equipment, or you're sick and tired of using pre-recorded workout videos that lack motivation and proper instruction that is geared towards you. If you find yourself in one of those categories, look no further than Total Body Training. We've got you covered with our online weightlifting from home program. That's right, we teach you in a virtual classroom how to work out and lift weights for you at your current level and where you want to be at in the next 6, 12 months. Where do you want to be at by the end of this year? We've got you covered with our online weightlifting program. So if you're interested, read the description section of this video to learn more about how you can start lifting weights from home with us today.